In the kitchen today, Executive Chef Jonathan Scott from the kitchen at Powhatan. Welcome back.
Thank you very much.
Just hearing Chris Reckling talk about what you're making today, it sounded really awesome, but if folks missed the very tip-top of the show, if you don't mind repeating what we've got on tap.
Absolutely. Today we're going to do a pan-seared filet mignon, really classic dish in any steakhouse. We're going to finish it with a cognac and wild mushroom cream sauce. And then on the side, we're going to do this red onion marmalade, which is a little sweet and sour, works really well with the steak, and then some roasted asparagus spears.
All right, you say that like it's not a big deal.
It's actually pretty easy.
It's a lot to get done in a few minutes, but we're going to make it happen. We're going to get started in just a second. Oh, there's little Chance looking for a chance to be yours if you can get him away from Arion, our pet pal of the week. All right, wash my hands because I was over there patting Chance, and now we're back here in the kitchen with Jonathan Scott. He's the executive chef at the kitchen at Powhatan and making a delicious filet mignon dish. So are you going to start with the filet or we'll start working on the sides?
We'll start with the filet and then one of the sides. I'll go over all the ingredients real quick, as usual. We have our filet mignon.
Yeah.
Some brown sugar, butter, my own homemade seasoning salt, which I'll go over in a little while.
Okay.
Some whole grain mustard for the finishing sauce, wild mushrooms, shallots, red onions, all types of good stuff. And then the last thing I brought, which is not in the recipe online, but you guys can always do it, is some fresh black truffle. And we're going to shave that right into the finishing sauce.
Now, what is a truffle exactly? Is it a mushroom?
It's actually in the same kind of family, I guess you could say. It's a type of fungus. It's very expensive. It's got an earthiness to it, but it's good just about in everything.
Where do you buy it?
Specialty stores and stuff, because they're only really grown in France.
If you don't want to spend hours in the woods of France.
No, I wouldn't suggest that.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to start off with getting our fillets seared. I've got a little bit of clarified butter that I've cooled down into balls, and then also have some olive oil to use for our non-stick agent.
Okay.
And we're going to take our fillets, which I've already seasoned really nicely.
Oh, and you did say you were going to reveal the secret recipe for your seasoning salt.
Yes, I will.
Which is nice of you. Some chefs always have that thing that they don't want to tell us, you know, which I understand that too.
Most seasoning salts people use is just cracked black pepper and salt. This seasoning salt that I use in the kitchen right now is kosher salt Fleur de Sal, which is a French seasoning salt, white truffle salt, and cracked black pepper. So it adds a much more of a depth of flavor to any kind of meat.
Sounds like it.
Most definitely. In our separate pan, while this is searing, we're going to start a red onion marmalade. You definitely need a lot of time to do this. Marmalade is one of those dishes, the longer it cooks, the better it is, so we'll start it early. Got some julienne stripped red onions.
And more clarified butter in there.
And a little bit of olive oil. The reason I do both is it raises the smoke point, because obviously everybody's like put oil or butter in a pan, it blackens when you're done. This kind of raises the smoke point just a little bit.
Okay.
So.
Just another quick question about the filet. You're searing them in the pan. Is that where it stops? Are they just going to rest after that, or are they going in the oven?
They're going to go in the oven, and then with the pan, I'm going to make the sauce right in there and take all that nice flavor that's absorbed in there.
Gotcha.
So in this red onion marmalade, I just got the red onions laid flat. I'm going to take some of that seasoning salt, throw it right on top. When you do red onion marmalade, it's like doing French onion soup. You don't want to mess with the onions too much. You just want to lay them flat, let them do their thing, and then flip them. And by the time you flip them, they'll start caramelizing and do what you need to do with them.
All right, so it's not like a stir fry where you're just constantly got a spoon in there.
No, not at all.
Them.
Not at all.
Okay.
You see these searing really nice. And like I said, it's a pretty easy dish because all you're really doing is steak and a couple sides, but the way it's going to be plated, it's going to be really nice.
Okay. So. All right. Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see that. Tell me a little bit more about what you're going to do with the asparagus.
Asparagus, I just already got it all done because it's really easy. It's just olive oil, crushed garlic, and my seasoning salt, roast off at 450 degrees. It's a good side. It's my favorite vegetable.
Did you blanch it at all?
Not at all. Just straight roast. It'll come out al dente. The tips will brown a little bit. It'll look really nice on the plate with the steak.
Okay, so you're not, you're just waiting for that bright green, not trying to get it too mushy or anything like that.
Exactly.
Okay.
Most definitely.
Anything special going on at the kitchen at Powhatan these days?
We're changing the whole concept of the restaurant since I've taken it over, and that's why I'm doing steak, because we're going to turn it into an upscale steakhouse.
Okay.
And we're going to be featuring USDA Prime, which is the top line meat in America, and Wagyu, which is Japan Kobe beef, but it's grown in Australia, the ones we're getting, and domestic. So our quality of steaks are going to be off the charts. It's going to be amazing.
Now, why the change? Do you feel like there was just a demand for that in the area?
A little bit of demand. I wanted to kind of take it into modern day, and then I just feel that since I'm kind of the executive chef there, going with the times, I wanted to change stuff to my liking and what people have been asking for. A lot of people in Williamsburg have been asking for a good steakhouse, so I'm going to go with it.
All right. So I already had the house. All you needed was just more beef in there in the kitchen of Powhatan. All right, we're going to come back and check on this recipe coming up in just a few minutes. Right now, Chris has somebody special to talk to. Great ideas there. All right, we're in the kitchen with Executive Chef Jonathan Scott from the kitchen at Powhatan. When we come back, he's going to, we're ready to go. Sorry, I thought we were taking a break, but we're not. You've done a lot since we were last in the kitchen. You're going to have to catch us up.
No problem. Yeah, I've done a couple things just to make sure everything was done on time. Red onion marmalade, I cooked all the onions down like we discussed, and then I took red wine vinegar, Merlot, brown sugar, a little red pepper, crushed down to give it a little contrast, cooked it all the way down. Didn't touch it, let it reduce, and now it's really there's still
great color.
Yeah, it's going to go contrast on the plate wonderfully. The pan, like I told you, we're going to make a pan sauce. I threw some wild mushrooms and some julienne shallots and a little bit of whole grain mustard in there to start it up. Now this is pretty traditional French cooking when you sear a piece of meat in a steak, or in a pan I should say, and then use that pan and pull out the flavor. And that's exactly what we did. And then I added the cognac to deglaze the pan, pull all the little steak remnants out of there, and then we're going to start making the sauce. So I'm actually going to have you do to help me.
Okay. You threw some butter in there too, right?
I threw a couple pats of butter so it wouldn't burn. It's just so we have a little bit of texture also as well.
And we should mention the fillets are in the oven.
I actually pulled those. They're resting, which is very side note.
We should mention the fillets are not in the oven. They're over there. Okay.
A very important side note with meat is always pull it and let it rest for at least 10 minutes to let the juices redistribute throughout so it's a juicy piece of meat.
But 10 minutes seems like a long time. Seems like it's going to get cold.
It's like if you think of a hot box or an oven, when you shut the oven off, it takes a little bit to cool it down. It's the same thought process.
Okay.
And so it'll also cool it down. As it cools down, the juices just go throughout the meat.
So resist the urge to like cut it and look at it.
Don't touch it.
All right, now you were going to give me a job before I really interrupted you.
The cream right here.
Yep.
If you want to go ahead and start pouring a little bit on the side, what I'm doing is I'm making the pan sauce. The cream's going to pull some more of the stuff on the bottom of the pan, and that should be good. And what that's going to do is when it boils, it's going to start naturally thickening because of the cream, and we're going to take a little bit of butter and thicken it.
Okay. How come you didn't want me to pour it in the middle? How come you have me do it on the side?
Because when you do it in the side, you got a less surface space. If you go right in the middle, it might kick back because it's boiling and then shoot you with cream.
I see.
I don't want that to happen.
So the butter?
We'll do 2 pats.
Oops, sorry.
That's good.
And you said this was clarified butter that you actually formed back into these little golf balls.
That's all.
Okay.
So as you can see, it's starting to naturally thicken.
Yes.
And that's what we're looking for.
It's looking great.
Thank you.
And the asparagus was also done ahead of time. So.
Yeah, and that's just easy. Like I said, if you just roast it off in the oven, you're good to go.
Okay.
And now the little extra that I brought is the black truffle. Now this is just a grater. A lot of people use a truffle plane where it comes out in thin strips. For black truffles, they're not as intense and not as expensive. I usually just grate a little bit right into whatever I'm using. Okay. Just a little bit, because you're not trying to get all truffle flavor. You're just making more intense of an earthiness to it. And it does smell like mushrooms.
It does.
It really does. Okay, so that's all done.
Time to plate?
Yeah, you can plate right now.
Okay. And don't forget, the kitchen at Powhatan now is quickly becoming the premier steakhouse up there in Williamsburg, 3601 Ironbound Road in Williamsburg. Reservations are recommended. You can call 253-7893, or you can find them online, kitchen@powhatan.com. I know just from the colors we're talking about here, it's going to be a beautiful dish. We're going to check it out, and we're going to come taste it in just a few minutes.
Fantastic.
Thanks very much.